For over 30 years, music legend Cliff Richard kept quiet about Andy Gibb's tragic story. The youngest Beg's brother, who died at just 30 years old. Now, after decades of silence, Cliff has finally spoken out, and what he revealed will break your heart. Andy Gibb had everything. The looks, the voice, the famous brothers. He was a heartthrob who conquered the charts in the late 1970s. But behind the smile was a young man drowning in fame, battling demons that would ultimately destroy him. Cliff Richard, Britain's longest-run pop star, watched it all happen from the sidelines. For decades, he stayed silent about Andy's rise and tragic fall. Until now, what Cliff just revealed changes everything we thought we knew about Andy Gibb's final years. Andy Gibb wasn't just another pop star. He was the little brother trying to live up to the biggest group in the world. While the Bee Gees were conquering disco with Saturday Night Fever, Andy was making his own path. Born in 1958, Andy was 12 years younger than Barry and nearly 10 years younger than the twins, Robin and Morris. But when he stepped into the spotlight in 1977, he proved he belonged there. His first single, I Just Want to Be Your Everything, shot straight to #1. Then came Love Is Thicker Than Water, another #1 hit. By age 19, Andy Gibb was a superstar. But here's what most people don't know. That instant success came with a price that would haunt him forever. Andy had the perfect pop star package. Feathered blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, and a voice that made teenage girls scream. He was on magazine covers, TV specials, and sold-out concerts. Everyone wanted a piece of Andy Gibb. The problem was, there wasn't enough of him to go around. Picture this. You're 19 years old, and suddenly you're one of the biggest stars in the world. Your face is on every magazine. Fans are screaming your name, record executives are demanding hit after hit. This was Andy's reality, and it was crushing him. Making it worse, Andy wasn't just competing with other pop stars, he was competing with his own brothers. The Bee Gees were literally the biggest group on the planet. How do you follow staying alive? Andy felt constant pressure to prove he deserved his success, that he wasn't just riding on his famous last name. The music business in the late 1970s was brutal. Record companies pushed their stars to the breaking point. Tours, recordings, TV appearances. There was no time to breathe, no time to be human. Andy was trapped in a machine that fed on his youth and talent, giving nothing back but money and fame that felt empty. By 1980, those close to Andy started noticing changes. He was getting thin. His performances weren't as sharp. The sparkle in his eyes was dimming. The boy who had everything was slowly losing himself. Cliff Richard had been in the music business since 1958. He'd seen it all. The rise, the fall, the pressure, the pain. When Andy Gibb exploded onto the scene, Cliff recognized the signs. But back then, Cliff stayed quiet. He watched from a distance, as a talented young man was consumed by the very success he dreamed of. Now, after decades of silence, Cliff finally spoke about what he witnessed. Andy was one of those rare performers who seemed to have everything. He had the looks, the voice, and the charisma that pulled people in instantly. I remember thinking that he didn't just sing songs, he lived them. He made you feel every note. Cliff understood something most people didn't. How dangerous fame could be for someone so young. The industry can be very unkind, especially to someone so young. Andy was only a teenager when the spotlight found him, and it never let go. Success came so quickly that he didn't have time to find his footing. Cliff had survived his own early fame by staying grounded, surrounding himself with good people, and never losing sight of who he was. He could see that Andy didn't have those protections. One moment, he was this young man with dreams, and the next moment, he was living those dreams at a speed that would overwhelm anyone. By the early 1980s, Andy's struggles were getting worse. The pressure, the loneliness, the constant demands. He turned to drugs and alcohol to cope. Cocaine became his escape from a reality that felt too heavy to bear, but the escape became a prison. Andy's addiction started affecting his work. He missed recording sessions. His performances became unreliable. Record companies lost faith in him. The hits stopped coming. The phone calls stopped coming. The invitations stopped coming. When Cliff finally spoke about this dark period, his words were filled with understanding, not judgment. It's heartbreaking when talent like that is clouded by pain. I think Andy carried more weight on his shoulders than he ever let on the fame, the expectations, and his own personal battles. It was too much, and when you don't have the right support, it's very easy to lose yourself. Despite everything, Cliff remembered Andy's essential goodness. What I always admired about Andy was his ability to light up a room, even when he wasn't at his best. He had this way of making others feel good. That's a gift very few people have, and it's why people loved him so much. By the mid-1980s, Andy Gibb had largely disappeared from public view. The once bright star was fighting battles most people never knew about. He tried to get clean multiple times. He wanted to come back to reclaim his career, to make his family proud again. But addiction is a powerful enemy. March 10, 1988. Andy Gibb died at just 30 years old. The official cause was heart failure, but everyone knew the real story. Years of drug abuse had weakened his heart beyond repair. The boy who'd had everything died with almost nothing. No money, no career, and worst of all, no chance to show the world what he could have become. When Cliff finally addressed Andy's death, the pain in his words was obvious. It's one of the greatest losses in music. Truly, 30 years old is no age at all. He had so much more to give, not just musically, but personally. I sometimes think about the songs he never got to record, the performances he never got to give, and the lives he never had the chance to touch. Cliff used Andy's story to highlight something bigger, the fragility of life and the importance of taking care of each other. It's a reminder of how fragile life can be and how important it is to look after one another. After staying silent for over 30 years, why did Cliff Richard finally decide to share his thoughts about Andy Gibb? Perhaps it's because enough time has passed. Perhaps it's because Cliff, now in his 80s, understands the importance of honoring those we've lost. Or perhaps it's because Andy's story still has lessons to teach us. Despite the tragic ending, Cliff wanted people to remember the joy Andy brought to the world. Andy's story is sad, yes, but it's also full of beauty. His voice still plays on the radio, his performances still make people smile, and his name still means something to those who loved him. That's the legacy of a true artist. In Cliff's view, Andy achieved something that death can't touch: immortality through music. He may not be with us anymore, but the music keeps him alive. And I think that's what he would have wanted. By speaking out, Cliff did something important. He humanized Andy Gibb in a way that only someone who'd walked a similar path could. He showed us that behind every tragic headline is a real person who deserved better. Andy Gibb's story, as told through Cliff Richard's eyes, teaches us about the dark side of success. Fame without support, talent without guidance, dreams without protection. It's a dangerous combination. Maybe if more people had spoken up when Andy was struggling, things could have been different. Cliff's silence back then was typical of the industry. Everyone saw the problems, but nobody wanted to get involved. The music business of the 1970s and 80s was brutal. Mental health wasn't discussed. Addiction was shameful. Young stars were treated as products, not people. Today, we know better. We talk about mental health. We understand addiction as a disease, not a moral failing. We protect young artists better, though not perfectly. By finally speaking about Andy, Cliff honored not just one lost star, but all the talented people who couldn't handle the pressure of fame. It's a reminder that success without support is just another form of failure. After more than 3 decades of silence, Cliff Richard's words about Andy Gibb feel like a long overdue eulogy, not just for Andy, but for an era when the music industry chewed up and spit out young talent without a second thought. Cliff's tribute reminds us that every celebrity is someone's son, daughter, brother, or sister. Behind every tragic headline is a human being who deserved better, who had dreams, who brought joy to others even while struggling with their own pain. As Cliff said, Andy's music keeps him alive. I just want to be your everything. Love is thicker than water. Shadow, dancing. These songs still make people happy, still bring back memories, still prove that talent transcends tragedy. What do you think about Cliff Richard finally breaking his silence? Should he have spoken up sooner, or was his timing perfect? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more untold stories from music history. Because behind every legend is a human story worth remembering. And remember, if you or someone you know is struggling, it's okay to ask for help. Andy's story doesn't have to be repeated.